In this tutorial, we're going to discuss the Euclidean algorithm. So the Euclidean algorithm sounds like a really complex term, but in essence, it's really simple. So we'll discuss it right now. So, essentially, what the Euclidean algorithm says is the following. It says the greatest common factor. In other words, the factor that is biggest and is the most common between them of, let's make this a little nicer, of two numbers, let's just say a and b, is equal to the greatest common factor, GCF, of a comma b minus a. So essentially, the greatest common factor between any two numbers is the same as the greatest common factor as the first number and the second number minus the first number. So this is a key concept. We'll do some example problems so we can understand it. Put that up there so you can see. Alrighty, so let's say we want to find the greatest common factor of 20 and 30. 20 and 30. So this would be equal to, by our rule up here, the greatest common factor of 20, we keep the same number, and b minus a. So the second number minus the first number, which is 30 minus 20, in other words, 10. So these two expressions are equivalent, and obviously we can tell that the greatest common factor between 20 and 30 is 10, and as you see over here, the greatest common factor of 20 and 10 is still 10. And we can keep going. You can repeat this algorithm as much as you would like, just to get to something that you can do. And by the way, this a comma b and then b minus a over here, it doesn't necessarily need to be in this order. It could be a comma b, and then you could have over here, you could have a minus b, and then just b over here. So using that, we can basically say that the GCF of 20 and 10 is equal to 20 minus 10, which would be our first value, which is 10, and then our second value, which is 10. And this is a simple rule. If we have the greatest common factor of two equivalent numbers is that number. So we have the greatest common factor of 20 and 30 is equal to 10. Alright, let's do a more difficult example. Let's say we want to find the greatest common factor of 456 and 42. So if we use our formula up here, we would say that the greatest common factor of 456 and 42 is equal to 456 minus 42 and 42. And we're probably going to keep doing that for a while because this number is huge, and getting it down to something we can do will take a long time. So just to demonstrate it, let's do that. So 456 minus 42, we can just do 56 minus 42, which would be GCF of 456 minus 42 is equal to 414 and 42. Now we do the same process again. It's equal to GCF of 414 minus 42, and as you can imagine, doing this process for a long time is kind of inefficient, and in competition math we want to do this as quickly as possible. So instead of carrying on with this step, instead of carrying on with that form, delete that. Instead, what we can do is find, we can divide 456. We can divide that by 42. So we do 456 divided by 42. And what this will do is give us a number that is as low as possible, and we'll skip a bunch of steps. So doing this in long division, 42 goes into 45 one time, multiply them, 42, and then 45 minus 42 is 3, drop the 6, is 36, and 42 doesn't go into 36 any more times, so we just put a 0 up here. And so 10 is the number of times that's it'll go into. So a quick shortcut is just to look at this remainder. Essentially, this remainder is the number we'll put up here, but to explain why, we can just quickly look at this. So if we do 42 times 10, we get 420, and this is the number that we could subtract to get to 36. If we do 456 minus 420, which is a factor of 42, because 42 times 10, 42 is this factor. So essentially, we would have had to do this step up here 10 times. But instead, we just look at this remainder right here and replace it with 456. So we have GCF of 456 and 42 is just equal to, if we do 456, this number divided by 42, and then you just take the remainder and replace it with 456. So we get the 36 over here, comma 42. And this is a much more manageable problem. We can keep going, but it should be pretty obvious that the 2, so we do 42 minus 36, which would be equal to, 42 minus 36, be 36 and 6, and as you can see, 36 is 6 times 6, and so 6 is its greatest, well, 6 goes into 36, and that is the greatest common factor between 36 and 6. But yeah, but we can keep going, so we'll just keep going. And if we divide 36 by 6, we'll get 6 and 6, and this is equal to, thus our answer is 6. Righty. And we'll just do one more example. Okay, let's find the greatest common factor, GCF of, we'll just pick two big numbers. We'll do